Puntahan natin ang mga design phases in the SPP document 202. Firstly, meron tayong tinatawag na Architects National Code, ANC for short. That's also known as the UAP documents in the 200 series. That's also known as the SPP documents. So all these three terminologies mean one and the same. They all refer to one set of documents. Ito mga documents na prepare ng ating organization, United Architects of the Philippines Incorporated, our incumbent, kumbaga, integrated and accredited professional organization of architects in the Philippines. Now, ito ang mga documents in the 200 series. May mga documents pa tayo in the 100 series, in the 300 series, in the 400 series, in the 500 series, and in the 600 series. So we're talking about the documents in the 200 series. And once again, they're also called as the Architects National Code and the Standards on Professional Practice documents. So again, all these three terminologies mean one and the same. And just a side note, my most favorite set of UAP documents is the 601. This one contains the templates for our ARCHI and engineering, programming, pre-FESIB, study, FESIB study, and so on and so forth. Generally, our 201 services, their templates can be found in the UAP 600 series. But unfortunately, for some reasons, hindi siya publicly available. I've checked online, I couldn't find it. And I was the national chairman of the UAP Committee on Library and Archives during the height of the pandemic. And unfortunately, this set, together with the other sets, are nowhere to be found in the UAP headquarters. Or di lang kami nagsikap na to look for them, but definitely they're not easily accessible even in the UAP headquarters. And just let me know if accessible siya. Feel free to send me a message, no? For those of you who will be watching this one, and you'll get access to them. So for now, let's concentrate ourselves with the UAP document 202. Okay, so it's one of the Architects National Code documents. I'll be making use of this term for now, not all these three terms na in this discussion. So ANC na lang muna gagamitin ko in the interest of time. Now, we have Annex A, 200, 201, 202, 203, 204A, 204B, 205, 206, 207, 208, 209, and then 210 that comprise the entirety of the Architects National Code. SPP Annex A is all about the methods of selecting the architect from the perspective of the client. So we have the direct selection method, the comparative selection method, and the method architectural design competition. All of these three methods are detailed in this document, Annex A, but we're not going to be talking about them for now. And then this document, SPP 200, is all about the code of ethics. And then the penultimate article inside this document is the Architect's Credo. It summarizes all of this document's discussions on the meat of the matter. Ano nga ba ang meat of the matter ng SPP Document 200? The architect's responsibilities in relation to the people, to the client, to the contractor, to our colleagues, and so on and so forth. And again, I was talking about the Architect's Credo, the second to the last article inside this document. Ito ang nire-recite natin ng mandatorily at all major UAP events before they do start. Ano nga ba ang sequencing ng ating mga events in the UAP? Of course, everything starts with the invocation, followed by the singing of the national anthem, followed by the singing of the UAP hymn, followed by the recital of the Architect's Credo. Ano ang last line in the Architect's Credo? So help me God. And then ibababa ang kanang kamay after the recital. And then officially magsisimula na ang ating UAP event. So again, that's the focus of the UAP Document 200. Ang focus naman ng UAP SPP ANC Document 201 ay ang ating mga pre-design services. So we have consultation, pre-feasible studies, feasible studies, and so on and so forth. And then what follows after 201, we have 202. We have here the regular design services. At ito ang focus ng ating discussion for today. And then this one's followed by the specialized architectural services, 203. And then this one's followed by 204A, architect in charge of construction. This one's followed by 204B, construction manager. This one's followed by 205, property manager. This one's followed by 206, project manager. This one's followed by 207, design-build services. This one's followed by 208. Ano nga ba ang 208? What's 208? This one, together with this one, 209, I usually get them interchange. SPP 208 is all about architectural design competition, ABC, and then SPP 209 is all about consultation. And then 210, we have the architect's guidelines. 210 has a nickname, the architect's guidelines, and its shorter nickname is the architect's guidelines on methods of compensation and schedules of fees. And its full title is the Architect's Guidelines on Methods of Compensation and Schedules of Fees for Standards of Professional Practice Compliances. Pakicheck na lang ang actual full title ng SPP Document 210 or ANC Document 210 or UAP Document 210. Again, they're all one and the same. So, allow me to put in here fees. So, itong ating Architect's National Code, madali siyang i-memorize, madali siyang i-familiarize with because the documents inside the code are arranged non-arbitrarily. Meaning to say, may sequence tayong sinusunod. Ganyan naman ang pattern sa lahat ng mga documents on standards. Hindi naman sila laid out inside the documents arbitrarily. May pattern tayong sinusunod. No? Take the case of the Architect's National Code, for example, ang unang nailatag ay ang Annex A document. Again, ano ang pinag-uusapan sa Annex A? The methods of selecting the architect from the point of view of the client. So, magsaselect muna si client ng architect. That's step 0, so to speak. And then afterwards, What comes in after Annex A? We have 200. Ano ang focus nito? Code of Ethics. Pag-usapan muna natin na how the architect that's selected by the client should be performing the general scope of the practice of the archi profession ethically. And this one's followed by the 201 document. Ang focus ay pre-design services. Kailangan ito, no? 99% of the time before we can head over to the actual architectural design phase. At ito na nga ang susunod, the actual architectural services, our bread and butter, the regular design services. And then this one's followed by the 203 document, baka mga kailangan ng acoustical design, lighting designing, and so on and so forth. 203 is all about the specialized architectural services. And then, there you have it. Natapos na ang design, pwede ka na mag-construct. 204 is all about construction. 204A, architect in charge of construction. Applicable for small projects. Let's make use of the words of the ANC document. Kapag ang type and complexity ng project ay hindi naman ganyan ka-complicated, no? AICC is sufficient. Kapag ang type and complexity ng project ay a little bit complicated, CM na ang kakailanganin mo, no? Construction manager. Ito naman ang highlight ng 204B. Pag-uusapan natin ito along the way. And then for the 205 document, ito na. Okay, natapos na si construction. Post-construction na ang pinag-uusapan natin dito. Ano ang job title ni architect? Rendering the post-construction services. Marami. Pwede mo siyang tawaging resident architect, property manager, facilities manager, and so on and so forth. Basta ang focus niya ay itong maintenance, kumbaga, no, ay itong mga activities na may kinalaman after matapos si construction. And then we have the 206 document. Ano ang focus nito? Very comprehensive na. Comprehensive services na po ito. Project manager na ang job title ng architect. So, ima-manage niya ang mga services na na-mention sa ating mga preceding documents. 201, 202, 203. It doesn't mean to say na siya ang magre-render ng 201, 202, 203 services, and so on and so forth. Siya lang ang magmamanage ng mga activities na from start even up until the life cycle of the project, 205. Okay? But again, it doesn't mean to say na siya ang magre-render. Pero pwede rin naman. But for me, it defeats the purpose of hiring the services of a project manager. The primary reason why we're hiring the services of a project manager is to provide the checking and balancing, okay? To check on the works of those architects and other professionals working on the 201 services, 202 services, and so on and so forth. So kapag ibibigay mo rin ang contract kay PM for the 201 services, for example, sino na lang ang mag-check sa works niya, di ba? So for me, it defeats the purpose of hiring the services of a project manager if you're gonna be allocating a service for him/her. Okay? And then, what comes in after the 206 document, 207, design-build na ito, no? Pag-uusapan na lang natin ito in a different discussion. And then we have 208, architectural design competition, and so on and so forth. So, what I'm trying to say here is, again, these documents inside the Architects National Code are not arranged randomly, are not arranged arbitrarily. Randomly, arbitrarily, they're one and the same. They're arranged, okay, following a pattern. Diba? Ang unang pinag-uusapan, the methods of selecting an architect, the code of ethics, pre-design, and so on and so forth. So in the interest of time, let's focus ourselves with this document, ANC UAP SPP document 202. Okay, the regular design services. Ito ang bread and butter ng mga architects in the Philippines. Regular design services. Makapal-kapal na document ito, so we're not gonna be discussing the document in its entirety. Ang pag-uusapan lang po natin ngayon ay ang mga sub-phases niya. Okay, paano nga ba nagde-design si architect in the Philippines in compliance with this document ANC UAP SPP 202. Basic lang naman po siya, no? Everything starts with the project definition phase. This one's followed by the schematic design phase. This one's followed by the design development phase. This one's followed by the contract document phase. But hold on, hindi lang nagtatapos ang trabaho ni architect up until the preparation of the blueprints, kumbaga. Kapag ang kontrata ay architect of record, okay, hindi design-build, hindi nagtatapos sa preparation ng blueprints lang ang trabaho ni architect of record. Tutulong siya, if needed, sa bidding, and of course, sa building permitting. At hindi lang nagtatapos ang trabaho ni architect of record up until these two additional phases, again, if needed. If needed, ang tulong ni architect, up until the start and end of the construction phase of the project. Nagko-conduct si architect ng tinatawag nating periodic site supervision. Now, how periodic is his visit? Ideally, one time per month. This one's in line with our guideline that the contractor, that the builder, the constructor is only allowed to bill the client for a maximum of one time per month. So kapag nag-bill na si builder, bibisitahin niyan ni architect of record to check on his progress. Kung tama ba ang binibill na progress percentage ni builder. So the architect of record evaluates the percentage on behalf of the client. And then, again, nagtatapos lamang ang services ni architect of record kapag natapos na rin ni builder ang construction for the project. So nakaalalay po si architect of record sa kabuuan ng proyekto. Hindi niya pwedeng hayaan lamang si builder to implement his architectural documents. Dapat nakaalalay siya. Kaya nga nagre-retain po si architect of record ng 10% of his architect's professional fee na makukuha lamang niya kapag natapos na ni builder ang construction for the project. So pag-uusapan natin itong mga fees along the way. But for now, I'd like to focus on these phases: project definition phase, schematic design phase, design development phase, and contract document phase. As a matter of fact, hindi nga itong apat na ito, no? Itong project definition phase alone. Paano nga ba nagsisimula si architect in his attempt to come up with stellar architectural design solutions to a project? Now, before we dwell on the project definition phase, pag-usapan muna natin ano ang mga outputs per phase. So, sa project definition phase, ano ang mga kaganapan dito? Interviews lamang po ito, malalang interviews ni architect with the client regarding the spatial requirements and intensive study of the site where the project is located. So, malalang ocular inspections. Okay, dito nyo na makikita si architect na nakatulala lang sa site, nag-i-imagine, nagda-daydream, what have you. So, ang output natin sa project definition phase ay tinatawag nating program. If the contract of the architect of record is architectural and engineering, mean to say, si architect ay may contract with a client at walang contract si client with other engineers. Okay, ang tawag natin dito ay detailed architectural design services. Ang program natin ngayon ay architectural and engineering. Usually, ito ang scenario kapag ang gusto ni client ay isa lamang ang point person. isa lamang ang kausap niya na all throughout the design phase. Kapag ang case naman, usually ganito po ang mga scenarios, ay si client ay may kilalang mga magaling na engineering designers. Ang kukunin lang niya kay architect of record ay architectural design services, no problem. Ang kontrata naman ni architect ay tinatawag nating Detailed Architectural Design Services Typology or DADS. Kanina naman, ang napag-usapan natin ay DAEDS na tinatawag for short. In that case, ang type ng program niya ay architectural only. Okay? So it's either architectural and engineering program or architectural program. Depende yan sa type ng contract ni architect with a client. At ito nga ang highlight ng discussion natin for today. So dahil ito ang highlight, let's peg it at that for now. Puntahan lang natin real quick ang mga outputs naman for the other design phases. Let's head over to the schematic design phase. Ano ang output natin sa schematic design phase? As per RA 9266, A and C, line drawings. Ano ang ibig sabihin nito? Floor plan po yan, pero wala pang wall thicknesses. Nakita na po kayo niyan, I'm pretty sure. Ito ang floor plan, for example. Ganyan lang ka-basic. Okay na yan. Sufficient na yan to serve as the schematic design phase output. But of course, here with the LC Design Dash Build, ang pinaprepare po natin ay may walkthrough na. Kompleto na kasi nga we leverage the use of these technological tools. We make use of building information modeling programs. We make use of more advanced rendering programs and so on and so forth para hindi lang basic line drawings ang sinasubmit natin kay client. Pero okay lang din naman. This is just the bare minimum that's required by the code, by our documents and standards. But of course, these provisions are outdated. Okay? Kailangan na nating i-update ito to conform to the demands of time. Marami na pong technological tools that we can leverage para mas maintindihan tayo ng mga clients natin at hindi lang manual line drawings ang pinaprepare natin. But this one will be more than sufficient for now as per our existing documents and standards. And then what comes in next? We have the design development phase once again. Ano na ang itsura ng output natin dito? Mukha na talaga siyang architectural drawings. We have the floor plans with the wall thicknesses. We have the elevation drawings. We have the sectional drawings and so on and so forth. But aside from these drawings, the architect should have already started outlining the specifications. Nasisimulan na ni architect, no? Ang specifications. Pag-uusapan natin itong specifications, bill of materials, bill of quantities, and so on and so forth along the way. And then what comes in after the design development phase, we have the contract document phase. Dito na nga po, darating si blueprinting, white printing, and just so you know, in most LGUs in the Philippines, inaalaw na po ang A3 printing. So long as compliant pa rin yan sa PD 1096 provision that states that floor plans, elevations, sections should be prepared at a scale of 1:100. Kaya nga, wala na masyadong nagpapa-blueprint ngayon, especially if the project is just a relatively small one-story, two-story residential building. Okay? A3 na lang yan. So long as nakascale ang mga drawings mo ng 1:100. Compliant po yan sa building code. So dito na nga papasok yan sa contract document phase. Ang ating output ay plans, specifications, general conditions. Ito po ang ating UAP document 301. Ideally, sinasubmit din natin ito sa ating mga clients. I'm talking from the perspective of the architect. Or kapag makapal-kapal kasi yan, kapag hindi mo kayang i-print out, you can just submit it digitally. Pero ang kailangan mo i-submit kay client, hard copies, plans and specifications kasi ito ang hinahanap ng Office of the Building Official in securing the building permit. Pero kapag general conditions ang pinag-uusapan natin, requirement pa rin yan no, na isasubmit natin kay client para officially matapos ng contract document phase. Pero dahil hindi nga siya hinahanap ng Office of the Building Official, pwede natin isubmit yan digitally na lang sa ating mga clients. Now, ano nga ba ang contents ng general conditions? It specifies, it details how the three major entities should be interacting come the construction phase. I'm talking about the client or the owner, they're one and the same, the architect, and the builder slash contractor slash constructor. We'll talk more about those three terminologies next time na lang. Okay? So, hindi naman ito problema ng Office of the Building Official. Concern ito ng tatlong parties involved. Okay? Kaya pwede natin itong i-email or if your budget permits, you can print it out para mas comfortable no, sa mga builders. From my experience, comfortable ito sa mga builders. I'm talking about the hard copy versions. So, there you have it. Nakompleto na natin ang mga outputs per phase. Again, hindi nagtatapos sa submission ng contract document package ang trabaho ni architect. Kapag mangangailangan ng tulong, si builder, si owner, come the bidding phase kapag may bidding ang project, come the building permitting phase kapag ipaprocess na ni contractor ni builder ang building permit, aalalay si architect. And not only that, hanggang sa construction ni builder, aalalay si architect. So malinaw, no? For now, ang focus lang natin ay ang first phase, the project definition phase. This one's very important. Hindi agad-agad tumatalon si architect sa schematic design phase. Meron po tayong process na sinusunod. Though it sounds linear for now, the architectural process is not supposed to be linear. And of course, good architects know this. Binabalik-balikan natin ang mga kaganapan in the past, along the way, to come up with a more holistic, more comprehensive architectural solution. So for now, let's content ourselves with the appearance of the process. It looks linear, but you'll know this, it's not linear. Babalik-balikan natin ang mga outputs natin along the way in the preceding phases. So there you have it. For now, ano ba ang pinakaunang ginagawa ni architect after ng contract signing? Ganyan na lang kasimple. Okay? After ng contract signing. And to help us in discussing those activities, ano na ang mga kaganapan after ng contract signing no, ni architect with the client, let's head over to a very good example here for an Archi and engineering program. So, ito ang pupuntahan natin. Shown on the screen is an example of LC Design Build's program prepared in 2019. So, this is an Archi and engineering program for a 2-story residential building in Plantation Hills, Greenlands, Tanawan City, Batangas. And so you know, it forms part of the bigger Tagaytay Highlands development in quote-unquote Tagaytay, Cavite City. But technically, the project site is under the jurisdiction of Tanawan City, Batangas. Well, for those of you who are familiar, Tagaytay Highlands is a very expansive development crossing different jurisdictions of local government units. So, let's head over to the outline para makita natin ano nga ba ang program, ano ang contents niya. We have the spatial requirements of the client. We have the adjacency matrix. This one's born out of the evaluation, analysis of the processes na in-undertake ni Architect of Record after interpreting the spatial requirements, or in his attempt to evaluate, to analyze, to interpret, what have you, the spatial requirements. And then we also have here the exterior character inspirations, the interior character inspirations. Lahat ng mga ito no, ay pinag-uusapan ng dalawa, ni architect at ni client. And then we have here the concepts for the structural and the mechanical, electrical, plumbing, fire protection systems. Again, this program is an example of an Archi and engineering program. So this one needs to be discussed with the architect, with the client, and of course, with the engineering designers. And then what's next in the outline? We have the site development considerations. What's next in the outline? We have the development controls from the subdivision deeds of restrictions. This one's followed by the development controls from building codes and other documents and standards. This one's followed by, if applicable, in this case, this one's applicable, the inventory of the existing furniture of the owner, the client, and of other items to be incorporated once the construction is complete. And then this one's followed by site analysis. And then this one's followed by the bubble diagrams na integrated naman dito sa ating site analysis. And then this one's followed by the annexed document. So it's on you kung ano ang gusto mong i-annex no, dito sa ating Archi program or Archi and Engineering program in this case. In this case, ang in-annex lamang natin dito ay itong design guidelines from Plantation Hills Administration Office. Ang mga deeds of restrictions, mga guidelines no, ng mga developers, homeowners association ay makakapal. Okay? Hindi lang naman si architect, si engineer, si contractor ang target audience nila. Okay? Marami pang iba. Of course, the homeowners themselves, target audience din yan nitong guidelines na ito. No? So, dahil makapal siya, ang kinukuha lamang natin dito, na hina-highlight natin dito sa line item number 7 ay itong development controls from the subdivision deeds of restrictions. Pero dahil nga it's a comprehensive set of document, baka lang may kailanganin tayong i-refer sa kanya na from time to time during the entire design process natin to consider the construction activities of the builder, constructor, what have you. Pag-usapan natin ang mga terms na yan no, separately. Kailangan nating i-annex ang kabuuan ng deeds of restrictions, kumbaga. Okay, so that's my consideration why I annexed it in this program. So ganito ka-comprehensive ang ating program supposed to be. Bakit? Ito na nga po ang magsisilbing quote-unquote, apologies if I'll be making use of this term, Bible ni architect of record. Bago siya makapunta sa schematic design phase, na-prepare na niya itong quote-unquote, forgive me for making use of this term, Bible. Wala na siyang ibang bubuklatin. Hindi na niya bubuklatin si building code and other referral codes of the code. Wala na siyang bubuklating deeds of restrictions. Wala na siyang bubuklating time saver standards, wala na siyang bubuklating graphic standards, and all those textbooks na ginagamit no, in the college years of an Archi student. Lahat nandito na ipapasok na natin sa ating program. Quote-unquote, Bible. So puntahan na natin ano ang itsura nga nitong mga outlined items. Let's head over to the spatial requirements. Real quick lamang po, no? Dito sa spatial requirements, tinatabulate natin ideally. Bakit tabulated dapat? Kasi mas organized no, kapag tabulated siya. Hindi mo lang siya nililista. It's tabulated accordingly, depende na sa'yo. In our case, this was how the spatial requirements are tabulated. It's on a per floor basis. So sa first floor, we had the foyer at portico share, for example. Anong zone yan? Active. Pag-usapan na lang natin ito separately. We have different zoning classifications. in a residential building, active, passive, what have you, utility, blah, blah, blah. And the number of occupants, and then may area computation component, and then may percentage of the building footprint component. Pag-usapan na lang natin sila separately. So, per floor ang ating presentation. So, what else do we have on the first floor? Stairwell going up to the second floor, powder room, living area, dining area, gourmet kitchen, greenhouse, big entertainment area, master bedroom, master toilet and bath, small entertainment area, bedroom 2, caretaker's room, laundry drying area, CCTV monitors and server room, materials recovery facilities, storage, and that's it for this particular project. And then onto the second floor, we have the stairwell going down to the first floor, bedroom 3, bedroom 4, tank room, and that's it. Onto the basement floor, we have the parking area, the driver's lounge, the scullery, the barbecue area, the foyer garden farm area, the powder room, and the storage. So it's on a per floor basis in this case. So it depends on the architect how he or she will be presenting the spatial requirements of the client after the more focused discussions that he or she will be having with the client. Itatabulate lang niya para mas magandang presentation at hindi siya malito along the way. And then there you have it. In this case, we were able to extrapolate the gross floor area, the non-gross floor area, and the total gross floor area of the project. Very important itong data na ito for us to be able to come up with the initial estimate for the construction of the project. So, ang ginagawa lang naman natin just to come up with a very initial construction cost estimate of the project. Itong tinatawag nating SPPCC as termed in our legislation, the statement of the probable project construction cost ay parametrically computed. Okay? So, after extrapolating the gross floor area, the non-gross floor area, we will then be able to compute for the statement of the probable project construction cost. We just simply make use of the parametric costing that's available in the area. So, for this case, it's located in a high-end subdivision. For the gross floor area, we just simply multiply it. Back then, the prevailing parametric costing was at roughly 45,000 pesos per square meter. Ngayon, sobrang taas na niyan. Back then, maliit-liit pa nga yan. No? So, I think it's the starting point of the high-end range in that area. And then for the non-gross floor area, hatiin mo lang yan into 2. Hatiin mo lang yan by 2, no? So if it's 45 divided by 2, you have the parametric costing for the non-gross floor areas. And then you just add the results. You have the statement of the probable project construction cost for the project definition phase. And then ang responsibility ni architect ay i-update si client for the statement of the probable project construction cost at every phase. At ito ang mali ng some of the architects in the Philippines. Hindi sila nag-a-update ng statement of the probable project construction cost sa mga clients. Kaya nga nagugulat ang mga clients kapag tapos na ang trabaho ni architect. Isa pang mga kamalian ng mga architects in the Philippines, ay tinatapos nila ang kontrata sa contract document phase, sa blueprinting, quote-unquote. Masikat siya na tawaging blueprinting phase, diba, in the Philippine setting. Akala ng mga clients tapos na ang trabaho ng architect, pero hindi nga nagtatapos dyan. We have the assistance, bidding, building permitting phase, up until the construction phase. Now, dahil nga ganyan na ang setup in some areas in the country, akala nila nagtatapos na ang trabaho ni architect sa contract document phase, iniiwanan na sila ni architect of record. Nagugulat sila kapag pinapabid na nila ito sa mga interested bidders. Ang tataas ng mga quotations. Kasi nga, hindi nag-update si architect of record ng statement of the probable construction cost at every phase. Ano ang nangyayari? I've known a good number of clients na talagang hindi nagpo-push through naawa na lang ako, no? Kasi gusto ko silang tulungan, pero ang quotation ko ay mabababa. Ay, matataas rather, at hindi nila kaya. And then nag-offer tayo na ng design dash build para lang matulungan talaga sila to implement the project, to revise it, blah, blah, blah. And then, hindi pa rin talaga nila kinakaya, no? Kasi, firstly, ang ina-expect lang nila ay ganito. Binibigay naman nila ito sa architect, pero si architect ay hindi talaga nag-update ng statement of the probable construction cost, leading to incorrect expectations at the end. Kaya nasayang yung efforts ni architect, yung efforts ni client, nalulungo sila kasi hindi nga na-implement ang project because of the lack of budget thereof, and so on and so forth. So there. Okay? It's very imperative na as early as the project definition phase, nabibigyan natin si client ng statement of probable project construction cost. Madali lang naman, as you can see here, come up with the gross floor area, come up with the non-gross floor area, or if you want, just come up with the very basic total floor area and just multiply it with the prevailing parametric costing para hindi naman nagugulat no si client sa mga construction costs na ibibigay sa kanya ng mga interested constructing parties come the bidding phase if the project calls for it. So, after the spatial requirements, ano pa ang makikita natin once again dito sa ating program? We have the adjacency matrix. Ito, kailangan ito ni architect, no? In the architect's attempt to zone the spaces. Kailangan ba magkakatabi itong mga ito or not? Okay? So, this one's also done on a per floor basis in our case with LC Design Build. So, first floor, foyer at portico share. Kailangan ba niyang malapit sa stairwell going up to the second floor? It says here, yes, because the label says so. It's shaded. Okay? What about for the case of the foyer at portico share with the dining area? It's unshaded. So, it means to say, hindi naman kailangan magkatabi sila. So, ganyan lang naman po ang pagbasa nitong mga ating adjacency matrices. At magamit ito ni architect in the architect's attempt to come up with bubble diagrams later on na maipapakita rin natin. So, it's on a per floor basis. First floor, ito ang adjacency matrix niya. Second floor, basement. Okay? And then, ano pa ang next na makikita natin dito sa ating program? We have the exterior character inspirations. So, pag-uusapan ito ni architect at ni client. Architect, I want an industrial-looking building on the outside. Fine. Mag-request ka or mag-propose ka sa kanya ng mga pegs, no? Or probably you can just request that the client go through the pegs online, Pinterest, Google, and then submit them to you para makulit mo siya. Okay? In this case, we came up with this collage. Okay? And then this one's followed by the interior character inspirations.